Jesus Christ, what a faggy intro.
Hello everyone, this is ChampionMan90. Ugh! Damn it, I can't see a thing in this.
Recently, due to speculation about interpersonal conflict, I decided to look up videos on YouTube to figure out what is going on. I didn't end up finding what I was looking for, but I did find what is probably one of the dumbest videos I have ever seen on this site.
Well, I for one am absolutely flattered that you think it's one of the most dumbest videos on YouTube. I mean, it can't totally be ironic that you think that is the case, considering the absolute gem that you've awarded me here.
It is a video by username CharmingMan93
Heyo!
responding to a JJ Talks video that discusses biological sex. Scientifically speaking, JJ's video is generally uncontroversial.
Really? That's a lie. She said that biological sex is a social construct. That in itself is controversial because that is not a view that is held by proper scientists. You know, ones with the degrees in chemistry, biology, physics even. They don't dispute this. She literally said the whole of human knowledge about our own bodies, hell, if biology is just false. It's just false. It's made up. It's a social construct. That's exactly what she said. She did a creationist argument. And you're saying this isn't uncontroversial just because she used one thing that they do use that is only really just one of many methods to determine what biological sex a person is. That is stupid and that is wrong.
We use several factors to determine the sex of a person. Duh.
And? So? Why the duh at the end? Why the duh? That doesn't make sense. Who cares? Besides, I had a look at your little Wikipedia article. All the evidence that she has is just Wikipedia. So how can I take this at face value? It's not a proper peer-reviewed journal or article or book that I can use to safely determine that your argument is sound. So immediately I can just dismiss that there if I wanted to, but I'm not, because I'm going to be nice to you for a little bit.
However, she uses the phrase social construct, which in my experience is a trigger word for anti-progressives and anti-social justice types that riles them to anger and causes the posting of copious amounts of poorly researched response videos.
Oh, the irony, the absolute irony in this, because in your video, you've got a trigger warning for, what is this, deism? I don't know what that means, but I've been told apparently it means prejudice towards hermaphrodites or intersex people. I never once expressed prejudice. I simply argued the facts that they are still born a male or a female hermaphrodite, despite the stuff, and that if in puberty in many cases a vagina may close up or balls may become useless. But never mind. If you want to see my arguments, watch the video. How is this a trigger word anyway? I'm not triggered by the idea of social construct. I just don't like it being used in the wrong context, like JJ did. And by the way, isn't this a little bit ironic that you're just saying that this is a poorly researched response video, what I did to JJ, when hers was a poorly researched video and you just gone and done a poorly researched response video to me? So,
To go off on a tangent, social constructionism, a theory in sociology that has its roots in the over 100-year-old theory of symbolic interactionism, has nothing to say about whether or not a thing is, quote-unquote, real. This is a silly abstraction. Social constructionism merely holds that we use language in our society to organize things together to form constructs. Further, it holds that if these constructs are not beneficial to society or detrimental to human rights, that we should either do away with or alter those constructs.
You do realise there's nothing subjective, there's nothing false, there's nothing completely constructive or whatever about biological matter and sex. Seriously, all this, apart from the clothes, all this, it's natural. It's a natural occurring phenomena that cannot be constructed. It can't be. This is not a social construct. The scientists have been researching this since men first learned how to bloody write and talk and read. We have been researching for millennia about this. We know the most we have ever known. And you're saying all this doesn't count because of some bullshit philosophy. Really? Really? Not quite a non sequitur at all, because I know what you're trying to do there, and it doesn't work.
Back to this video in particular.
Yes, get back on topic, my monotone friend.
Charming Man 93 responds to JJ in a piecemeal fashion, which results in many failed attempts to embarrass JJ and so many contradictions that it will make your head spin.
You see, I was trying to embarrass her because she just subscribed to me, and it was a very funny video because of how awful it is and how wrong she is scientifically and factually. I mean, she no longer subscribes to this anymore, if you believe her. This is what she claims. She no longer subscribes to this belief. So you're fighting a losing cause. That says more about you than it does about me. But anyway, what are these contradictions? Because I never got this criticism when I was releasing this video. Got quite the opposite, in fact. But please, do go on.
His argument really has the consistency of a wet fart.
And that joke fell flat as a bum note.
Despite many contradictions, I could pinpoint two main contradictions that I experience when I engage these types of people about this subject.
Oh, so you're gonna cherry pick me now, are you? Grey Knight, come here!
Contradiction 1. When JJ asks how do you determine the sex of a person, he responds, using less sophisticated language, mind you, that primary and secondary sex characteristics determine sex.
So you're not going to quote me on this? You're not going to intersplice this little video with footage of me? You're just going to tell somebody what you think I said, or rather what you think they should know what I said. So let's just get the actual footage of this moment, shall we?
What are things that we as a society use to determine what someone's biological sex is?
Dicks, vaginas, boobs, facial hair, body hair, although everyone has body hair, but different amounts. Let me think. Oh yes, voices. Face it, JJ, gender dimorphism exists. Now, I don't know about you, but the way I say boobs and all the other words, I'm not really being totally serious with her, because I do know, with all the 5 different reasons, in the ways in which you can determine what somebody is, you know, a man or a woman, whatever, there's bound to be different ways in which you can do so. But I was just being rather facetious and sarcastic towards her, and mocking what she was going to be saying, like, oh, beards, not everyone has beards. That's why I said it. I'm not contradicting myself. Besides, even then, it still technically is the primary way in which people do perceive it. The way in which they do determine what someone's sex is. You know, when a doctor has a newborn baby in their arms, they don't just go and put them under a microscope and say, okay, let's have a look at their little chromosomes. XXY, I see. That's the gender. No, they don't. They just look at the genitals and they say, boy or girl. Or if it is intersex, they can then do something else. They can find out another way. But even then, there are other ways of finding out a baby's sex, but that's besides the point. But please, do go on. This is just something that is later contradicted, am I right?
Later in the video, when this is challenged, he says that one sex can have genitalia typical of the other sex, which contradicts his previously held position. Unsurprisingly, when he makes this assertion, he still thinks he's winning the argument.
You are misrepresenting what I said. I said that even intersex people are considered male or female, despite having both of the aforementioned genitalia. Because there's a dominant, they still have a gene that says that, yeah, they're male or female, and that's reflected on their body. You know, there are women who are intersex, who have penises, but they're still women, biologically at least. They just got a deformity. That sadly, that's what it kind of is. I don't know what way to put it, but they're still considered women, just like how a man who may have ovaries inside of him, but also has his penis where it should be, is still a man. And the same applies to women who have testes inside of them. They might not necessarily be working, but they're still considered women. Like that runner from South Africa during the Olympics. She was found out to be intersex, but she's still a woman. She's still physically a woman. Just she has things inside her that shouldn't be there. There's a reason why they have sexual reassignment surgery, to basically remove these things that should not be there so that they can then be the gender that they're meant to be. It's similar to trans people, but different, because they actually are physically turning them into things that they ought to be, and they do mentally think that they're male or female. So, what are you arguing here?
Contradiction 2. When JJ further presses the argument in her video, Charming Man 93, like many who I have argued these points to before, falls back to stating chromosomes determine sex. I have a problem with this position because this not only contradicts his previous claim that primary and secondary sex characteristics determine sex, but it is also self-contradictory because using chromosomes as the sole determinant of sex means that chromosomes do not determine anything about sex.
Chromosomes do actually show what a person's sex is. That's why we have these chromosomes. That's the reason why we have chromosomes. That's why men and women have different chromosomes. But the thing is, I didn't contradict myself, because she asked what is the primary way in which we, find out what someone's gender is. And I say, well, we look at the, outside. We look at the genitals. I answered a question sarcastically. But, nonetheless, that is the primary way. That's what she asked. She asked how we determine it. And then the way she talks about chromosomes is she basically argues that people who are Down syndrome or have Turner syndrome are a different sex, or people who are infertile even are a different sex when they're not. Is that right? It's wrong, isn't it? It's completely wrong. But you know what? In a way, chromosomes can't be the only thing, we know that. But nonetheless, despite these people who have got Turner's and Down syndrome having different chromosomes, yes, I know, they're still male and female, aren't they?
Bonus contradiction. So I don't normally encounter this, but Charming Man 93 makes a third amusing contradiction. After he states that chromosomes determine sex, JJ's video starts discussing variations of sex chromosomes, such as XXX syndrome and Klinefelter syndrome, among others. After which Charming Man 93 states that these don't determine sex.
No, what I said is, despite these chromosome differences, they're still male and female. The people with Turner syndrome do not have a male chromosome within them. They just don't. They don't. They're women. They just have an extra X. Because it's a deformity. It's hard to explain, but the chromosome there should not be there. It isn't a sex chromosome that's being added onto them. It's hard to explain exactly, but that doesn't make them a third sex, does it? That doesn't make them intersex. They're just women with a genetic abnormality. It causes a disease within them, isn't it? The same with Down syndrome. Like I said before, that's not a contradiction.
So either chromosomes do determine sex, or they don't. Which is it?
You see, the only person making that argument was her. She was trying to say, oh, look at all these different chromosomes. Clearly there's a third gender, when there isn't. Like, so what? They have something that shouldn't be there. They're still male and female. Male Down syndrome people are still male, despite having a chromosome that shouldn't be there. Turner syndrome people are women, despite having XXX. They're still women. They still look like women. They still, have sex like women. They still talk like women. There's literally nothing different other than they've got something wrong with them. Chromosomes do determine your sex. But when there's an abnormality like those, that does not mean that they are a third sex. That is your mistake and you're projecting it onto me. I didn't say that. You did.
I found this amusing because it's a case of Charming Man 93 getting pwned by the very video he's responding to.
I'm just finding it ironic that you can't find a leg to stand on in which to accuse me of contradiction. Never happened in the entire video. The only person contradicting themselves are JJ and you. You two are contradicting yourselves in your videos, not me. And isn't it a bit ironic that you are finding it funny that I apparently got pwned by JJ? No, I did not get pwned by JJ. No, I did not.
This should highlight why you should do your research before making piecemeal response videos, or, in my opinion, avoid structuring your responses in a piecemeal fashion entirely.
Well, isn't that just funny? Because later on you make some of the most dumbest statements ever. Keep that in mind, people. Also, what do you mean piecemeal? I don't think you know what that word means. You keep using it, but I don't think you know what it means. There's nothing piecemeal about my video. I went through and debunked the whole fucking thing.
Now I want to call attention to other flaws in his argument that show that it is in fact he who knows nothing about biology.
That is a bold statement coming from a social justice warrior.
He uses outdated terminology like pseudo-hermaphrodite. A hermaphrodite is a species, usually an invertebrate, that has two types of genitalia. This allows any two members of that species to reproduce. In science, we stopped using the term pseudo-hermaphrodite to describe humans more than 50 years ago.
I'm sorry, but hermaphrodites are not invertebrates. Look, those are invertebrate hermaphrodites. But we're talking about human ones who aren't like those ones, remember? And I never said pseudo-hermaphrodites. I said humans are not true hermaphroditic species. At least the humans in the minority that are hermaphrodites. They're not true hermaphrodites. That's what I said. I never said pseudo-hermaphrodites. And I've never heard this scientific thing that we stopped using 50 years ago. But please, social justice warrior, tell me, the historian, about history.
It was used to refer to what is now known as intersex. We use the term intersex because hermaphrodism has nothing at all to do with what we use intersex to describe. To continue to use that phrase is not only incorrect, it also contributes to stigma towards intersex people.
It's an ancient Greek word meaning of man and woman. Have you not heard of the myth? It is not contributing at all to a stigma. Don't give me all this bullshit that you guys love to throw. Oh, using this word will kill someone in Africa or something, or make someone racist. No, it's not. That's not going to contribute to anything like that, considering a lot of intersex people and hermaphrodites use that word hermaphrodite just out of easiness with normal people, because that's what they are, and it's a nice word. It's a very nice word. I'd much rather be called hermaphrodite if I were intersex than intersex. I don't know why, I just would. I think it sounds more human than intersex. That seems like a cold word that social justice warriors have come up with. The fact remains is, they are hermaphrodites. They have genitalia that shouldn't be there, or a hormone, or both that should not be there. Or at least shouldn't be in that amount, but that doesn't matter. Look, I am not showing prejudice here at all by using a word in a context which I did mean no hate whatsoever. You can twist my words all you want and say that I was contributing to stigma. I was not. Because are any hermaphrodites getting bullied because of my video? No. No, they're not.
Intersex is actually what JJ is talking about in this video.
No, she's not actually. She ranges from trans people to intersex people to people who are infertile, people who can't grow beards properly like me, people with high voices like me, women with deep voices, women with more facial hair than most women. That's what she's talking about. She's talking about people who aren't a third sex. That's what she's talking about. It's not intersex people. You obviously didn't watch her video.
Intersex is a condition where your sex characteristics do not fit into the binary constructs of male or female.
No, they're people who are born with genitalia that doesn't fit what their natural genitalia are. For example, a girl born with a penis but also has, say, a vagina or ovaries, or a man born with ovaries or a vagina but has his dick as well. That's not what intersex is at all. It's nothing about fitting in a binary. These people fit in the binary. These people are men and women. They just have abnormalities. Some choose to go through reassignment surgery, others choose not to. Also, sadly, they don't live long. But that's just a sad fact that I thought I'd put in for the second time in a row.
The problem with the constructs of male and female is that they result in many intersex children being surgically or hormonally altered in order to align them with these constructs.
They're not constructs. They are biological facts that happen in nature. You don't go around looking at dogs and say that their genders are constructs, do you? You don't do this to cats. You don't do it to birds or crocodiles or whatever, do you? Only to humans. Why? Are we not animals too? It's natural. All this is naturally occurring. Okay? Sex is natural. It is not a construct. And these people do have a main gender, and that is they could be male or female. That's why they go through these treatments. Because it can kill them. Sometimes it does it naturally. Like I said, in puberty, a man's vagina, if he's a hermaphrodite, can close up and basically not work anymore. So he basically loses all most of the female hormones that he would have had, and he'd be male basically. That can happen. Or a woman can choose to have the penis or anything removed so that she can be a woman. Remember, these people will think they're male or female. That's what they do. That's what they think. Frozen Binary tells me the most amazing woman she ever met was an hermaphrodite. So make of that what you will.
This is now seen as a violation of human rights.
Citation needed. How is this a violation of human rights? Exactly. Look, I do know one story where one person was never told that they were intersex and they had sexual reassignment surgery, and then when they found out, it made their life hell. But most people know that they're intersex and therefore can make the decision if they want to have this surgery or not. Like I said, they don't all take it. How is that a human rights issue exactly? Only a social justice warrior would say that is a human rights issue. It's not a human rights issue.
As I said earlier, social constructionism holds that if a social construct is detrimental to human rights, then it should be changed or done away with entirely.
But the facts remain is that this is not a construct. Only jobs and capitalism and socialism and all that other bullshit are constructs. But us, ourselves, what happens in our bodies and outside our bodies, what happens in the womb, etc., that is not a construct. All of that is a fact, a scientific reality that you are somehow denying. That point is mute and void. It has no bearing on this argument. You can't give me this constructivist bullshit.
In defiance of Charming Man 93's illusory superiority and many appeals to science, JJ's argument does not, as he states, come from Tumblr.
I never once showed an air of superiority. What are you on about? And I was not appealing to science. I was using it. You idiot.
It actually comes from and is backed by science. These are arguments made by bioethicist Alice Drieger, who holds a PhD in the history and philosophy of science.
No, a degree in the history of science and biology, or whatever she said. She's not an actual scientist, nor is she actually a biologist even. She's a historian of science. She has a degree studying the history of it all. She doesn't actually discuss the science and the facts. She's just a social justice warrior making shit up. So literally, it is like from Tumblr. The people from Tumblr got this from her. JJ read Tumblr, thought, oh, this sounds interesting, bought her book, and then spews her shit on the YouTube video. And here's me debunking it. And then you, obviously, have done the same thing. This woman is pseudoscience. None of her research is backed up by evidence of any kind whatsoever. It's bullshit.
And Anne Fausto Sterling, who is a sexologist who holds a PhD in developmental genetics. In fact, JJ makes an allusion to Drieger's 1998 book, Hermaphrodites and the Medical Invention of Sex, at the beginning of her video.
Actually, she does it at the end, not at the beginning, but never mind. Basically, Sex is not an invention. Look, when you have a subtitle of the invention of sex, you know damn well that this is pseudoscience that you're dealing with, because most scientists will tell you that sex is not an invention, it's a natural occurring thing. That's why men and women look different. That's why we have peacocks. We have the female who tends to be kind of plain looking, and the male who is fantastic and really extravagant looking. It's natural in humans, birds, and other mammals. What? How the hell can you not see that? And how the hell can someone who has a PhD in genetics, or whatever it was that she had, how can she come up with that? Well, I'll tell you why. Feminism and social justice. It's bullshit. It rots the mind. And also, let me guess. Because she has the relevant degree, therefore she's right. Not necessarily. It was a fully trained doctor who spread the myth that vaccines cause autism. He's no longer a doctor now, and his journal was never properly backed anyway. They ran tests and everything. They peer-reviewed it. His research was baseless. Absolutely baseless. Especially since there was some interesting things behind all that, but still, whatever. It doesn't matter how qualified they are. They can still be wrong.
In closing, I would like to say that it is not JJ that needs to read the book. It is in fact you, sir, who need to follow your own advice.
I do read books, actually. That's why I know so much about this. Unlike you.
But what should I expect from someone who thinks that gynecomastia is just fat?
Straw man! But never mind anyway. It only affects men and they're not a third gender.
Or that androgen is separate from testosterone and not a male hormone.
I never even said it was a bloody male hormone. I just said that's how it causes hermaphroditism. You idiot.
Anyway, thanks for listening.
Oh, bye. See you later.
Oh, was that spreading hatred? I hope you liked it. Anyway, people, enough of this strawmanning idiot. I hope that's the last we see of them. So until next time, see you later.